There's a lot of blood on this list, I've just realized.
Maybe people don't like it. Maybe people don't like it. I like it.
I'm into it. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Off to Broadway, the podcast where we deep dive into anything and everything musical theater from the comfort of my car. I'm Tara.
I'm Stefania.
And in today's episode, we are back with another ranking episode, and today it's all about flops. Now, before we start, I do want to give an update to our previous episode, which was In the Heights. We're not going to give you another review, but since we recorded that episode and we talked a bit about like Oscar nominations, the Tick Tick Boom trailer has come out and we are like beside ourselves with this trailer.
That's true. That's true. Lin-Manuel did that.
He did.
The way Andrew Garfield moves in that trailer, I'm obsessed.
We just needed to like put that out there that trailer looks amazing. If you have not seen it, go watch it. And now we can get into flops. So this is an episode I feel like we have kind of discussed off and on since we started this podcast, that like we randomly gravitate towards flop musicals, but we don't really know how to do a proper episode on it. So we have chosen to do a ranking episode, and we have chosen our favorite songs from some of these flops. And of course, there are rules like every ranking episode. So Steph, what was our main rule for this one?
Okay, so number one, the show had to have played on Broadway. And the reasoning for this is because I want it to have reached for what is seen as the highest point in theater, and then to just not be successful. You know, yeah. I want it to have really attempted something and then not have been able to make it. And the other rule was it had to have less than 150 performances. Yeah. So that works to about like 3 or 4 months, something like that.
And we are not counting previews as part of those performances because, as we have learned through research, some of these shows had longer previews than they did actual performances.
They don't count, when you're counting how many performances a show has, it always counts previews separately. So we didn't include previews in this number of performances.
Yeah, I think also flops is something that is, you can define it differently. Everyone would define it differently. Sure. Number of performances is for sure one thing, but then there's also like, did this show recoup its investment? And a lot of people would say that that's the reason that a show flopped. We will talk about some of those ones when we get into our honorable mentions. But also a lot of these flops have cast recordings, which we thought was really interesting, or at least on our list, have cast recordings.
Well, we've talked about it many times before. Cast recordings are often the only way a show really gets to live on. Yeah. If it doesn't get that cast recording, it usually gets forgotten about so quickly because there's nothing to revisit. There's a musical on my honorable mentions list that does not have an official cast recording, but there is a widely distributed demo recording that everyone knows and listens to. Mm-hmm. So it like cheated a little bit, but without that, with the like low number of performances it had on Broadway, it would have just been, you know, a ship passing in the night. We wouldn't still have as much memories of it. We would have just like very minimal clips or memories or firsthand accounts of it. And now instead we were able to have this like recording that has lasted the test of time.
I also think it's super interesting, and I don't really know the answer why. Again, we've said this on many episodes. We do not condone bootlegs, but these flopped musicals seem to all have accompanying bootlegs. And for shows that didn't run for a very long time, like, who took out a camera to start filming?
A lot of these, I love the bootleg. Sorry about it.
But it's such a random thing because, like, the beloved shows it's very hard to find those bootlegs, but like these ones readily available. Just type in the name on YouTube.
It's also like, okay, so if they ran, let's say 50 performances on Broadway to half empty theaters, okay, the amount of people that actually got to see it is so low.
I know.
So like when you think about it, it is so few people. If it's like 50 times 500 people, like a minuscule amount of people. So that video recording is probably how the majority of people who are appreciating this musical have seen it.
Maybe the same person went to every flop. And
you know what? Sometimes I think it's like one person taking bootlegs. I really do. I think it's like one person taking every single bootleg.
Especially because the like bootleg world online is all about like trading. Like who has this, I'll trade you. It's this one person.
It's one single person. Can I read a tweet?
200. Yeah.
Give me a second to find it. This is a tweet by at Hiding Solo. And it says, I love comfort watching my Broadway bootlegs. Like there's something so soothing about watching a grainy performance of live theater taken by someone holding the camera to their chest with brief periods where they hide it under their clothes so you can only see the actor's legs magic. And it's like, yes.
Also, if you've ever just like stumbled across a bootleg, like read the comments. You have to also read the comments. It's part of the experience.
Of course, 100%, 100%.
Also, something with flops is everybody should know that Steph listens to flops on a daily basis. So this is her easiest ranking episode yet, I want to say.
I think we're going to come up with some really obvious takes right here because my loves, they're just like, it's picking between my children here. Just shows that or musicals or songs that I just am very passionate about.
Yeah. So, speaking of the ones that are probably going to be no-brainers on your list, I 2 days ago wrote down the 5 musicals that I think will be on Steph's short list. We did also send our list again to Shara, and this time, no overlaps. Good for us.
Yes, we did it.
We don't know. We could have the same musical, but a different song, but we have no song overlaps this time, so everyone gets to enjoy 10 songs from us that are from flop musicals. Okay.
I'm excited.
Do you want to hear what I think you have?
No, I think you need to wait till the end. So it's
really?
Sealed. Yeah,
okay,
so
we're going to keep this.
It's sealed.
Okay, great. I mean, it's sealed. It's not in an envelope or anything, but it's
But you wrote it down before. It's sealed. Yeah. And read it out at the end to see how right you are.
Okay, perfect. Okay, Steph, then kick us off with your number 5.
Okay, my number 5 here. Everyone's going to be absolutely shocked at this musical that I've picked, okay? Number 5 with 137 performances written by our love, Jason Robert Brown, The Bridges of Madison County. Okay.
Oh, I should also say I actively thought about the shows that Steph would have on her list, so I tried to stay away from any of those ones. Yeah.
Okay. So you don't have this on your list?
Wow. I don't, because I knew that it would be on yours.
You knew it. Well, yes. Number 5, Bridges of Madison County. The song I chose is a new one. It's called Another Life. So Whitney Basher on the cast recording sings this song. It is, what is his character name? I don't know. Stephen Pasquale's ex-wife,
we don't care. It's
ex-girlfriend.
Stephen Pasquale.
Doesn't matter. Clint Eastwood's ex-wife / girlfriend. He tells the story about, he's telling Meryl Streep or Kelly O'Hara the story about what happened with them, but you don't hear him tell her the story. You see this ex-girlfriend character play the guitar and tell her own story, and it's called Another Life, and it's kind of like a Joni Mitchell style song, and her voice is gorgeous on it. It works, I think, as a standalone just story song. I think the way that her voice works with the guitar, because this is a very guitar heavy show versus a lot of Jason Robert Brown shows which have much more piano. I just think it's absolutely stunning, and it's a standout song, especially because it's by a one-off character who you never see again. She gets to come out, sing the song, tell her story, and then leave. And it's an interesting way to make it not just these two characters on stage. The whole time it expands the world beyond them. And so I really, really love Another Life from Bridges of Madison County.
So Bridges, obviously on my long list, but as I said, I knew that it would be in the top 5, so I stayed away. If you want to hear more about our thoughts of Bridges, go listen to our Jason Robert Brown episode. We talk about a ton of songs. It's a stunning cast recording. It truly is. It
had closed before the Tonys, yet still won Best Original Score and Best Orchestrations because, unmatched.
I also think it would be, well, we've said this on previous episodes too, but it's a Jimmy Award fan fave. Everyone sings a song from Bridges. If you're a boy.
Yes, it's Wondering is a hit on there, and It All Fades Away, obviously, but I would not recommend singing It All Fades Away.
It's hard, guys.
It's painful. It's painful to listen to people whose voice haven't completely dropped try and sing that. Okay.
But it is so interesting to me that property is licensed for high schools, because you're talking about Stephen Pasquale and Kelly O'Hara, two of the greatest voices.
Having a marital affair, cheating on her husband.
Whatever happens, happens. It's high school.
You know, Francesca and what is his name? It's killing me.
All I hear in my head is like, Francesca, come with me. That's literally all I hear at all times of every day is Stephen Pasquale singing that. You're gonna look it up right now.
Is it Richard? Why am I thinking
Robert?
Richard? Robert. It is Robert.
Is that right?
I haven't. It is Robert. Yes. It doesn't matter. Stephen Pasquale.
Great. Love it. Okay, so I said to you off the mic that 3 of mine sort of check out and the other 2 are like really left field for me. So this is exciting because they're like the flops of the flops, which I think is great. So my number 5 is from a musical that came out in 2011. It sadly only had 33 performances, and it is called Wonderland, which is an Alice in Wonderland musical. It's Alice Through the Looking Glass. Now, I think no one has been able to perfect an Alice in Wonderland musical, and I think maybe we should stop trying to do it because it's clearly not working. But then I thought about this, and I was like, is Alice, I guess because Alice is like poems from... It's
Lewis Carroll.
Yeah?
No, it's Lewis Carroll.
Lewis Carroll.
It's like a Lewis Carroll book.
But Disney also has like property of Alice in Wonderland. So why hasn't Disney Theatrical tried to do anything with it?
I think because I don't know. I do think it is a public domain at this point, I believe.
True.
The Lewis Carroll story. So Disney doesn't have complete ownership over it. And I think they try to stay away from things that they don't have complete ownership over.
Interesting. Okay, so I recently discovered this musical. It is wild, but the costumes, amazing. And it's so funny because critically, obviously, not good reviews. Like horrible, terrible reviews. But fan base, or like the very little fan base that there was, people are obsessed with it because it's just like different and like kind of strange and weird. Anyway, the song that I love from it is called I Will Prevail, and it's sung by none other than the queen herself, Kate Shindle, who, as we know, like has a killer voice. She sounds amazing on this musical. This is going to be a really strange reference, but I think the show that I can compare it to is like Anne Juliet. It's not Jukebox, but the tone of the show, and probably, I mean, I'm sure there's many reasons that it didn't work, but one of the reasons I think it probably didn't work is that like the tone of the music, the genre of the music is kind of confused. And that's why I could relate it to like an Anne Juliet. Not that I think that that's confused, but it's like pop songs that are different, pick and choose from other genres. And they sort of did this here, but like there are some really good songs on this cast recording. Also, Carly Rose Sonnenclair from X Factor is in this. She plays Alice's daughter, Chloe. And as huge Carly Rose Sonnenclair fans in this house, it was very exciting to me to like find out that this girl was on Broadway to do this musical for, sadly, only 33 performances. Something else interesting to me about this show is that it was... music is Frank Wildhorn, and he has done many a flop. I'm not going to list them because I have a couple others on my list that he has also done, but it is kind of funny to me that, I mean, it's funny but also kind of sad that like hasn't been able to break through, but has had almost like after the show's close, success with cast recordings of these flops.
Sometimes I feel there's a bias towards Frank Wildhorn. Like they're a little unfair to him sometimes. I feel this.
Anyway, if you haven't listened to Wonderland, like give it a listen.
I haven't at all.
It's really cool. It's cool stuff. There's a couple videos on Broadway.com of like, you know, they do those like trailers of different clips of the shows. It's like interesting. It looks cool. Kate Shindle is the Mad Hatter, and like she's got a wicked costume. So It's like fun stuff. But yeah,
that's great.
Alice in Wonderland, I think we should just stop.
Retire it. We have enough. We're over it. Alice in Wonderland.
You guys can do like high school, elementary school performances. That's great. Love it. There's lots of characters. But, you know, for like main stage, we're done.
We don't need a new interpretation of it again and again. The best... Well, I don't even know. I had issues with it, but I did see the National Ballet of Canada. It was a co-production with the Royal Ballet. And it was a really cool, I think, because dance and movement and like really outrageous sets were like a really cool way to tell the story. But I also felt like there wasn't enough dance in it. So
yeah, it was a
tough one.
Like Alice is such an interesting story in general because there's like drugs and alcohol involved, which makes it like it's hard to depict that on stage without actually doing anything. But the song Drink Me is almost like hallucinogenic, and it has really cool harmonies that almost remind me a bit of like octet. So it's like there's some cool stuff in here, but not enough cool stuff to make it worth more than 33 performances.
Right. As makes sense. Okay, we're going to my number 4. Guys, get ready for another shock. American Psycho. Okay. Okay, this did run in a limited run on the West End, but then they changed a bunch of things before bringing it to Broadway, and those changes were not for the better. Some were, but some were not. I do think the new opening number was correct, but I don't know. And also, I do think the UK is maybe a little more open to weirder things. Like, the show is weird. So ran in 2016. It ran for 54 performances, written by Duncan Sheik, who we love. But the song I've selected here is You Are What You Wear. They're throwing, Patrick's girlfriend is throwing him a birthday party, and it's before they arrive, and they're getting ready. Her and her friends are getting ready, and they're just they're telling the audience basically how shallow they are by saying you are what you wear. You have to, what am I going to wear tonight? And listing all the designers. And it's just this like great 80s electro pop dance number. And they're doing these fantastic like dance moves. It's the dancing in the show is like so weird and angular. I love it. And I just think it is such an interesting song in this musical, and I think it is used to great effect. It is one that lasted from the West End and into the Broadway production, so I think it's super, super fantastic. And we're lucky. Ben Walker will come again later, but Ben Walker deserves better, deserves a hit.
Well, and in addition from the West End to Broadway, which I think we had talked about in a previous episode, was the blood screen. That was not something that was in the West End, which, imagine like sitting in a Broadway theater without a blood screen. Would be
sitting
iconic.
in the splash zone. You're sitting in the splash zone.
I mean, if it's like written on the ticket, anything goes.
Still, you should not like be getting your clothes stained.
I don't know what those shows are called. They're not called like Resident Evil. I don't know why that sticks in my head, but Evil Dead. I think Evil Dead.
Sure.
They come to like CAA theater like once every 2 years during Halloween, and they are all splash zone musicals. I think they give you
like ponchos. That's funny.
Yeah. That's fun, though. That's fun stuff. If you know it's coming, then I think it's fun.
I think the difference there is that those shows are kind of parody shows. Yes. Whereas American Psycho took itself very seriously. It took itself very seriously. And I think that's a mistake. I think maybe the problem with flops, they don't get the tone right. Yeah. They think there's something that they're not. They're not embracing. And this is like, a very broad statement for many shows that are very, very, very different. But I do think American Psycho, if they'd maybe leaned a little bit more into the absurdity of the show instead of being very self-serious, because the song that I just said is absurd. It's crazy. The way Helena York, who plays, I can't remember her name, but Patrick's girlfriend, the way she says his name, she's like, Patrick. It's so funny. It's so funny every time. It's like comedy, and she is like the only person who knows what show she's in. Everyone else is taking it so
She's amazing
seriously.
Though. She's
Helena
so
York.
good.
Helena York is life. But like she is like, she knows how to like milk every second of comedy out of the show, but she's the only one doing that.
That's another one that I suggest if you have not watched the like Broadway.com clips of American Psycho, go do it. It's really good.
Them on the Stephen Colbert, I watched them perform Selling Out on Stephen Colbert a lot. Quite a lot. It's so good.
Yeah. And also you just see how like seriously Ben Walker takes that character, which is great.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
Ben Walker will come up again later, but go on.
This is like, now my list of yours is going to be ruined. Okay, my number 4 coming in at a total of 39 performances. This is a musical that I have like tried to get into this cast recording off and on for a few years. And there are some standout songs, but overall I don't gravitate towards it. And it is Tuck Everlasting. The song that I have chosen today is Good Girl, Winnie Foster. This cast, like for how long the show ran and the people that are in this cast, it's like truly shocking. We're talking about Carolee Carmello, Terrence Mann, Michael Park, Andrew Keenan Bolger. Like, it is a great cast. And then 11-year-old star of this production is Sarah Charles Lewis, and she sings this song. She is really great on this song. I think the tone of the show is interesting for what it is. It feels a bit more like youth of a musical than it probably set out to be. I also think, and I don't know that this would have helped it, but it did come out in 2016, and as we know, the year of Hamilton, and I feel like any show that came out during that year didn't really have a great chance at anything. So I don't think that this musical is like the be-all end-all. I have seen a bootleg. It is decent. The set is very, very similar to a show that you and I both love, The Heart of Robin Hood, and that's fun stuff. It's fun stuff. So yeah, I think it's like a good cast recording, but it's not one that I'll go back to like every day, but I do really love this song.
I'm going to stop you right here. My number 3 musical is Tuck Everlasting.
Oh my God! I can't believe that.
Can you believe?
I didn't even know that you've listened to it.
Okay, let me talk about my song, and then like we'll have continue. The song that I've chosen is Everlasting, which is right at the end of the show.
That's a great song.
Love. The first time I ever heard it was before this musical opened on Broadway. Like, you know how they would do cabarets and like try to get. So there is a video of Barrett Wilbert Weed singing this song Everlasting on YouTube. That before this musical existed, like it existed, but before it was on Broadway, before it was playing anywhere, I would just listen to this music video on repeat of her sing. Before I knew who Barrett was, I was just like, this song is it. Yeah. And then I don't like it as much on the cast recording because it is sung by a child, and she has a gorgeous voice, but it just works differently for me. It's just different, especially because I was like so obsessed with this specific version. But I like love. Like obviously like read Tuck Everlasting, the book, seen that movie, which is like so different from whatever this is. Yeah. Listen to that cast recording a little bit, but mostly just obsessed over this song because I feel like you can just pick that one song out and listen to it while reading the book and you get the entire thing. It like it is sort of decision moment. I think it's beautiful.
It's also, this was directed by Casey Nicola. Obviously, he's done, like, so many things. And then interesting to me that I found out the other day, like, Tim Federle worked on the book. And, like, we love Tim Federle. So
there's also, like, a 20-minute dream ballet right at the end.
It's beautiful. The ballet is, like, maybe the best part of that whole musical. Without, like, if you don't listen to the cast recording, you don't really know anything else. Like, that's probably it. But, like, Carolee Carmello is so good in everything that she does. Even someone like her, who's like obviously an icon legend, she's been in many a flop, and I feel like
Scandalous.
Yeah, yes, that one being the floppiest of most. But sometimes I feel like it's fun to be part of a flop because it's like history that never repeats itself. But
I think sometimes a little bit, but maybe not
every show.
A lot. You know, you want to have a steady job sometimes.
I did see someone did a blog post of like the 10 musicals that flopped that like maybe you should give a second look, and Tuck Everlasting was on that list, and it does feel almost like Disney-esque to me. There are portions of that cast recording that sound like in not the musical Frozen but the movie, like the underscoring of like the chorus that's like never actually there, but it's just in the beginning of Frozen, the movie. It's very like whimsical, and again, like I think the set is stunning, and it's cool to like have these trees be there and like do some really cool stagecraft. So maybe it will get revived. Probably not for many years.
I think this is probably one that gets licensed a lot.
Oh yeah, like put it in your and like regional productions. Just do it. Why not? There's a lot. There's actually like a decent number of characters in that show.
I think here's not my issue with the show. I think an issue with the show is the casting of Andrew Keenan Bolger. I think it makes the character, he is young, but it makes him read young, very young. Like I don't know if that's like the interpretation of that character that I'm looking for. You know what I mean? And maybe it's because I've seen the movie too much, where it's like very much a love story, where it says the book and this musical is not, because she's like a literal child.
She's young, yeah.
She's like a child, then like it's rightfully not. But I think the casting of Andrew Keenan Bolger is, I don't know if it quite works for me.
It was also post Newsies, right? And
yeah.
I think he had like a fan base following, which is probably why he was cast. Also, Ben Cook randomly in this show as an ensemble member.
Great.
Maybe also like Andrew Keenan Bolger's understudy because they kind of look the exact same.
Sure, like body type, like
yeah. But yeah, I do agree. Like taking the love story aspect out of it maybe loses
and
some
the
of
love
the
story
best
is
parts.
like not in the book. It's straight up not in the book. It's just not. Am I making this up?
But it's like fan service in the movie, though.
It is because they aged up Winnie in the movie,
and she does age up at the end of this musical, but very briefly. Right,
because she, like, spoiler alert for Tuck Everlasting, she chooses not to drink from the fountain and she ages and then dies, like, of old age, right? And so, like, devastating. That's why that's why the song Everlasting is, like, it.
And I've heard that, like, it's a sob fest in the theater if you were there.
Oh, I believe. I think it was my grade 5 teacher. She read us the book Tuck Everlasting. She would.
I'm pretty sure I read it in grade 5 also.
She would
it's a standard grade 5 book.
She would read a chapter to us every day, or like a few pages to us every day, and then so we were all reading it together, and then we watched the movie all together.
Yeah, me too.
What a time! Grade 5.
I know. I wonder if it's still like in the curriculum to read Tuck Everlasting and then watch the movie.
What an ethical decision to make, you know? Then you're like, everyone's like, would you drink? Would you drink? I don't know.
I know. Okay, so that was your number 3.
That was my number 3. So you do your number 3 now.
Okay, my number 3 is a song that I am so obsessed with. I have taken it from a future list because I needed it for this episode, and RIP from my tearjerkers list, but it's obviously With You from Ghost.
Oh my God, Ghost!
Which had 136 performances on Broadway. I actually think it ran longer in the West End, but I cannot confirm that.
I agree with you that it did.
So I heard With You for the first time in high school with no knowledge that it was from Ghost the Musical. I still have not fully seen the movie Ghost. We attempted to watch it. We never finished it, but we did see.
I love the movie Ghost.
Pure comedy. Ghost at Drayton Entertainment Theater,
St. Jacobs,
whatever it's called. Yeah, St. Jacobs.
We went,
starring Graham Scott Fleming, who gave a great performance in that musical. That musical was wild with the dummy, like wild.
Yeah, so obviously it was a regional community theater, so the budget was not there, and so obviously when Sam dies. They dropped a dummy from the ceiling, and we could not get a hold of ourselves.
It was jarring when that happened. Anyway, I truly love this song. I think it is so stunning. Like, there is not a more beautiful song in this musical. I know that you have many favorites from Ghost, specifically.
That Act 1 finale.
Yeah. I have a life.
It was a misunderstanding. Okay.
We actually had the pleasure of seeing Casey Levy at our like last concert of 2020, right? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it was like in January, February. You were very sick, Tara.
I was very sick. But I was not going to miss it. Would never do that now, obviously, knowing what we know. But Casey Levy performed at the Richmond Hill Center for Performing Arts, which is like just outside of Toronto, and
it was like a hometown show for her because she's from around here.
She's from here, yeah. And when she sang With You, it was just like, I've waited so many years to hear that song sung live by the person that sings it in the best possible way. I can't even describe how much I love this song, and it was like, as soon as I looked up that Ghost was under 150 performances, it got snatched from my tearjerkers list. Because I had made a longer list of tearjerkers to see, like, could I lose this one for this episode? And I could.
Wow. Yeah, With You from Ghost. That is a song. I'm crying thinking of it right now. It's so emotional.
It's also like, I think lyrically, it's a pretty good song, where I think like other songs in that musical lyrically are bad.
Who wrote this musical? Let me pull it up. Oh, Dave Stewart and Glenn Ballard. So people who write pop hits, like producer for the Eurythmics, Glenn Ballard, who is responsible for like Jagged Little Pill. So, you know, they write pop music and like pop rock music too. So the translation to musical, I think worked, but also like obviously didn't work.
Well, it's interesting because I think specifically with this song, which again is probably why I can like pick it out as one of my favorites from the entire cast recording, the tone is so different. It is like hauntingly beautiful. Some of the piano notes in the background are like very minor keys. Some of the way that she's like vocalizing, the choices that Casey makes for this song, it's like chill stunning. You hear the like first piano notes and you're already crying as soon as she says, "I picked up your shirt this morning." Like because
you know it, like it's an expression of grief. Like she's just trying to explain what like devastation feels like to the audience.
I'm also truly obsessed with the fact that she wears overalls during this song.
An icon. She didn't know overalls would come back into fashion like this. She didn't know.
But my vocal teacher in grade 9 saw Ghost on Broadway, and she was the person that like introduced this to me, this song specifically, and she loved it. She was telling me about the umbrellas in Ghost, like those cool light up umbrellas. And I think like, again, this is a show, watch that trailer. It makes it seem like it's out of this world.
Because he's a ghost, so he's appearing and disappearing in different places, and they created magic on that stage, basically.
Yeah.
Yes, I had a friend who also saw it, and she said, like, when With You is happening, the audience is just like sobbing. You just hear audible sniffles like, the entire time.
Yeah,
just
heaving.
Like devastating.
I know, it's so good. So it's left that list. It's on this list. And
it's on this list.
I'm happy it's here.
It's made it. Okay. Yeah. Back to my list. My number 2. This is a song from a musical. This is an interesting musical because it didn't get a cast recording until many years later. But this musical is called Cry Baby. It was based on the movie Cry Baby, and it is my favorite song, one of my favorite songs ever, Screw Loose, performed by Ali Mozzie as the character of Lenora. She's got a screw loose, and she's going to tell you it. The vocal performance on it, the acting performance on it that just comes across in that cast recording, it's crazy. She's so funny. Just the comedy. It is. It's based on a John Waters movie, so you already kind of have that like weird, funny tone. And I think like she understood the assignment. She knew exactly what to do with the song and just went nuts on it. It ran in 2008 for 68 performances. So tragically a flop. But it was one of those ones that didn't get a cast recording at the time, and they like got money far later and were able to record it. And that's the only reason why it doesn't just live in like cabaret performances here and there.
I think you talked about this like way back on our Cult Faves episode.
I did. I definitely did, because I love that song so much, and I do think it's a cult fave. And
Ali Mozzie, who I don't think this is on any of our lists, but there was at one point a Superman musical.
Like It's a Bird, It's a Plane?
Yes, and she was in it. And there's a great performance that she does that's online in that show. I think it's probably like one of the only performances that anybody cares about from that show. But she's such an interesting person. She's been a Glinda, right?
Yeah, she's a Glinda.
Yeah. It's an obvious choice for a Glinda. She's very, very talented.
That, like, voice, but, you know, she has the comedy that a Glinda needs to have. It's the comedy. She is, like, truly, truly so funny. And, like, that... I think it's so good. I think it's a great... So the first time I ever heard it was at a Jennifer Ashley Tepper video where If It Only Even Runs a Minute, which is the series about flops. And sometimes they like get people from those musicals to come perform. And she came from that because it was the standout moment from the show. And it's funny when you have your side character who comes in for like 2 songs, steals the show, and then the rest of the show seems almost lesser next to it.
Yeah.
It's, you know, that sometimes that's a problem. Sometimes that is the issue.
And only gets like 60 whatever performances.
Yeah. Also written by Adam Schlesinger, who, like, you know, wrote a lot of the music for Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, like super, super talented, like pop music theater writer. So really great stuff.
Okay. My number 2 is from a show that I have never seen, but again, have like loved bits and pieces of this cast recording for years. It ran for 137 performances, and I cannot believe we have not talked about this song on an episode yet.
Ever?
It is. We've maybe mentioned it. It was going to be one of our obsessions. We kept fighting about who got it, and I have stolen it. It is Astonishing from Little Women.
Wow.
Sorry, can we believe that we have not had this song on an episode
You're
yet?
right. I think we were going to talk about it last year around the Oscar
when
time.
Little Women,
but then we couldn't time the episode recording, and then whatever.
I feel like, although this is number 2 on my list, I know that you are also equally obsessed
I love
with this song. So I had 2 choices. I am also very, very obsessed with Some Things Are Meant to Be from Little Women. It is a stunning, stunning song. But if you are going to think about this musical, Astonishing is the one. Again, another Jimmy's performance that everyone kills it on. Oh my God, I need to actually look up the girl.
The schools love to license. The schools love to license Little Women. Okay.
Which is great. I think it's a great show to license for schools.
Sure. A lot of female main characters, which is a huge problem in shows that are licensed for schools, because theater programs are predominantly women, and yet most of the shows they're licensing are predominantly men in main characters.
Yes.
So you're having to recruit boys from the football team or whatever. I don't know. We don't have football teams in Canada. That's not true. We didn't have one at my school.
Soccer? Flag football? We had flag football.
We had ultimate frisbee. That was number one sport.
We had ultimate frisbee too.
Also rugby. Rugby was the sport. Anyway,
we didn't have
I didn't play any of these sports. I don't do sports. But yeah, you're recruiting someone from the rugby team to play main characters in musicals, whereas these girls are playing Villager number 3. Anyway, not the point. But something like Little Women has a lot of female main characters, so it's great for schools to license, and it's also can be tied into a book you're reading for class. Fantastic choice.
So the Jimmy performance that I am truly obsessed with is Elise Bell. She is Jo. I will put it in the description for everybody to listen to. Watch it and cry. This girl is so stupid talented. It's not even funny. 17 years old. I cannot believe the voice that comes out of her. This song, though, the build of this song is
Sutton
one
Foster.
that never exists anywhere else. When she hits that Here I Go, you are in Jo's world, chills galore. I can't say enough amazing things about this song. Obviously, Little Women is a property that everyone knows, has probably read at some point in their life. So to actually see that storyline musicalized is interesting. Obviously, it flopped, but I think, did Tim not tell us on our episode that he saw it 5 times?
He did. Maybe on our episode, or maybe when we
stopped recording, something.
It's possible. I don't know, where he worked with someone who wrote the musical, and he had to tell them that he loved it, and they were leave me alone, this is weird, something like that.
I feel that would be me. I feel I would see this musical and then tell every single person, have you heard Little Women? Because you need to go and see Little Women.
What a cast! Truly,
what a cast.
If people don't know, the song Astonishing comes where, if you are familiar with Little Women, right after Jo has rejected Laurie's proposal. So it is a turning point in the show. She has made a decision.
Columbus.
I'll be astonishing.
Also, I really appreciate
astonishing. One time I was driving to a cottage with my friend, and she was driving, I was in the front seat, and I put this song, and we just screamed our lungs out with 2 other people who did not care about the song in the back seat. Sorry to them.
It doesn't matter though. This song comes on and you're guys,
just
stop what you're
quiet.
doing.
They were having a deep conversation in the back seat, and me and my friend Ariana just screaming Astonishing.
It's so good. It's also, again, which I think many of these songs on our list is you pick that one out and you run with it. You listen to it every day. It's on your songs I love playlist. It is so good.
And you listen to absolutely nothing else.
No, Astonishing is one of those songs that if you don't sit in a 20-minute setting and listen to it for the full 20 minutes, what are you doing with your life?
Yeah,
I also really appreciate, because again, as I've said on many episodes, I really love watching high school, university, regional performances that are on YouTube to see just how talented people are. And everybody has a different acting choice for this song. And most of them have a book or a binder that they throw down on the ground before they hit the big moment. And I'm really into it.
That's so fun. I love it. What a fantastic song. Okay, moving on to my number 1. Everyone's going to be shocked here. My number 1 could only be one thing. A musical that flopped on Broadway not once, but twice. Okay? The first time it ran in 1997 for 91 performances. Then they're we're going to try again. It's gained cult status since we've played the first time, people are going to come this time. So in 2014, they're like, we're about to do it again. We're going to retool. We're going to revamp. We're going to change some things, cut some songs, add some songs. We're going to make it better. Anyway, cut to 2014, and it runs for 56 performances. Okay, this could only be the musical sideshow. Yeah. Look, I was so excited for this to be revived. I had like fallen in love with that original cast recording, and then when Broadway was being revived on Broadway, I think there was like an hour-long documentary on Broadway.com that I watched multiple times. I was watching every clip that I could devour about this musical. Anyway, cut to it opening and closing within basically a month. And I was devastated. Not that I was ever going to be able to get to New York to see it,
But still devastated.
But I was still devastated.
Deeply devastated.
Yeah, upset, like truly upset. This is the problem, is it had gained cult status in that time. However, it had gained cult status from people like me who were never going to be able to see it again, And I think it's such an interesting show. It's so cool. Like, it's so weird. I love weird shows. Like, it's bizarre. But, you have to know the audience that you're... And that doesn't mean you shouldn't just try weird things on Broadway. You definitely should. But they tried it twice. The first time I can understand. The second time, wild. Truly wild. So the song that I've picked here is our Act 1 finale. It's called Who Will Love Me As I Am. Daisy and Violet sing it together.
Also, if no one knows Sideshow, you probably know this song because it's like one of the most iconic from the musical.
Everyone sings the song. Everyone sings the song. It is like Who Will Love Me As I Am. And they're singing it obviously because they are conjoined twins, and that is a lot of baggage to bring to a romantic relationship. However, I really think the question "Who will love me as I am" is like universal. Who will love me as I am? Everyone has like weird thing. Everyone has baggage. Maybe not necessarily your twin attached to you, but everyone has things that make them difficult or make them. And it's just like such a relatable song. It's such a specific situation, and yet they've created the most like universal feeling out of it. This song is fantastic, and also the way that they are screaming at the end of it. It's Emily Skinner and Alice Ripley just giving a performance of their life, going for it. Okay. Other people in this original Broadway cast, Norm Lewis, obviously playing Jake. He sings this song called "Private Conversation." Like, absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I believe it's also in "Tunnel of Love," where it's like Alice Ripley just screams at a portion of "Tunnel of Love," and I just fast forward to that part of the song and just listen to her scream a lot. But yeah, "Who Will Love Me As I Am" is the one. It is the moment. This show is the flop of all flops because it flopped not once but twice. Nothing could beat it.
It's also a show that like I think of this and like laugh at the fact that if a high school ever did Sideshow to have like kids be conjoined twins, like it just makes me laugh.
Like, I think in the original production, or one of the productions, they were like magneted together.
No.
And then in another production, they just kind of like stood next to each other.
Also, wasn't Alice Ripley and Emily Skinner nominated for like a joint Tony?
I believe they were.
Which is amazing.
No, they were nominated together. Fully nominated together. Fantastic.
Which, like, has that happened?
I'm just thinking of, like, the three Billies.
But and I'm thinking of, like, the Allisons from Fun Home, but those were also separate.
Sure. They were nominated separate.
But, like, they were literally
They're playing two separate characters. It is interesting because, like, let's say the three Allisons who were nominated separately, they were playing one character, whereas these people were playing two separate characters with two separate personalities and minds. And, like, that's literally the point of the whole musical, is that they're two separate people, but, like, not separated. But that they are...
I guess because they never leave this... Like, they're always on stage together.
They have to be always together. Was it Alice Ripley who told a funny story about how they'd done all these performances of the show and never separated. They go on Rosie O'Donnell once, and they just, like, in front of everyone on camera. They're just like, oh, no.
I just think also, like, what if you don't get along with that person?
I think you just had to be, like the energy between them. I think they really had to work on the casting to find two people who not only looked similar, kind of sounded similar, but also who would have this like sister chemistry.
Do you like share dressing rooms? Do you have any time apart? Like, so many questions.
That's a great question because and the first production, now I'm like mixing it up. The first production, I think they just stood really close to each other.
Okay.
In the second production, I believe that they were in dresses where they were like attached.
Together.
So like you have to commit 20 minutes before the show or whenever you get dressed to like being with that person at all times.
And like almost all through intermission too.
Yeah, like I don't know how often you can change or not change, or I don't know.
What an experience.
What truly what an experience. It's fantastic. Like truly wild. I
love that. I will reveal my list of yours after I give my number one, but
yes, please.
I was pretty bang on. My number one should come as no surprise to anybody, this musical specifically, that it is the number one show on my list. This is a flopped musical that I have listened to for many, many years. It is the reason that I fell in love with Jeremy Jordan. It is obviously Bonnie and Clyde. Ran for 36 performances. Now, I did veer off because we have talked about Bonnie before. We've also talked about Dying Ain't So Bad. We also recently talked about You Love Who You Love. So, the song that I have chosen for this episode is Jeremy's banger of a number, Raise a Little Hell.
Wow.
I love this song so much. I also think like vocally it is one of the best that he's ever done on any show that he's been in.
He really gets to growl in this show.
It is so gritty and like dirty sounding, but his vocals are so clean and precise, but like it's so good. One of my favorite videos like I've ever watched is the Bonnie and Clyde rehearsal room or workshop, and it's literally just like Jeremy wearing like jeans and a t-shirt standing on a chair like wailing Raise a Little Hell. The last note in that song when he does his like Raise a Little Hell, and it literally like starts at the bottom and goes like all scoops the way up. I can't. I think he is such a talented person, and this song really lets him show his range. This is a bootleg I have watched many, many times. I don't think that this musical is great, but I don't think that it deserved only like 30, what was it? Did I say 36 performances? Like, yeah, that's a little low.
It is low. It is crazy. I do think, you know, because when shows don't make money right away, it is easy to like cut the cord on them because you don't want to like lose even more money. But sometimes you wonder if a show had a chance to grow or word of mouth or something if it might help. But it also got pretty bad reviews, so that doesn't help at all. It got
pretty bad reviews. I believe it was the same director as Newsies.
That sounds right.
I can't remember his name though, but we did like literally just speak of Frank Wildhorn earlier, and obviously he worked on Bonnie and Clyde. So he also worked on Jekyll and Hyde, which we consider a flop, but clearly it ran for 4 years on Broadway, so not a flop.
I just think it's kind of bad, but not necessarily a flop, just bad.
In general, and I've said this on previous episodes, I actually really think that the cast recording of Bonnie and Clyde is fantastic, and I have listened to it like pretty regularly for years. I think the opening number is amazing. I think the finale is really good. And I think the idea of developing a Bonnie and Clyde story for stage is actually a really great idea. It's just the execution like wasn't there. However, it did play in Japan, and it was like they ate it up there. They loved it. The Japanese audience like really loved Bonnie and Clyde. So it is interesting when like some of these flop shows head either like overseas or across the world, and they like pick up steam and have like a different cult following. So if you have not listened to the Bonnie and Clyde cast recording, I highly recommend it. I think it is very well done of a cast recording. And yeah, as I said, like this was Smash was kind of my like introduction to Jeremy Jordan. And then I found Bonnie and Clyde and was like, what else has this guy done? I need to see
within 1
everything.
year.
Another one, I think it would do pretty well regionally. It would be a good one to see.
It's good name recognition, right? People like Bonnie and Clyde, I know those guys.
Yeah.
I'll see a show
and
about
also
them.
There was like, I don't remember if it's in the opening number, maybe it's at the beginning of Act 2, but there's like blood in that show. Like it's Jeremy shoots. Yeah, but there's like gunfights and blood, and it is like quite shocking.
A screen? Do we need a blood
screen? Maybe the people in the front row needed a blood screen.
My number one song from that show is "How About a Dance." That's the
it's so moment. Good. Also, like the
Laura's
costumes.
Best performance, vocal performance.
Also, I agree, and this was also like, I think the chemistry between Laura and Jeremy saved the show for it to be 36 performances instead of like maybe 10 or 12.
Yeah.
Because if you watch the video of Bonnie from the performance, from like the actual show, I'm pretty sure it's on Broadway.com YouTube channel, like Jeremy in the tub, you're like, oh my God, like these two, I can't believe that they're not actually together in real life. My favorite actually video is the photo shoot that they did for Bonnie and Clyde, and Laura's husband is taking the pictures. Of course. He's like, just like touch him that way. And like, it's so great to me that like they can just put everything aside.
They have careers.
Yeah. But yeah, costumes like really beautiful. The wigs really, really good. Again, I think Bonnie and Clyde is like an interesting property, and I would be interested to see it done differently. Maybe a bit like darker than they attempted to do.
It was pretty dark.
It was pretty dark, but like your stars are Jeremy Jordan, Laura Austin, so it's not that dark.
Jeremy Jordan only plays bad boys. That's all he does.
Yeah. Okay, Steph, do you want to see what I had on my list?
Yes, open it up. It's the sealed list. Here we go.
Steph's flops. I have, in no particular order.
Sure.
Crybaby.
Yes.
Sideshow. Yes. American Psycho.
Yes.
Bridges. And then I wasn't sure. I went with Bright Star, but then I remember like we had a conversation that you actually don't really care for the cast recording of Bright Star. So I would have never guessed Tuck Everlasting in a million years.
It was a side, a show out of left field. No, I agree. Those four were really easy to pick, and my fifth show was the most difficult to pick. So
for a second, I thought Ghost would be on your list, and then I was like, no.
I forgot Ghost was a flop. To me, it's a hit. To me, it is the greatest musical of all time.
That's so funny. Okay, so as we do in all of our ranking episodes, obviously we have some honorable mentions. We are saving the floppiest of the flops, even though it ran for a very long time, for the very end. So what is like your number 6 if you were to have a number 6?
Okay, so a song I was humming while we were getting ready that I knew you would not recognize is
I think I actually recognized it,
Did you?
But I wasn't sure what it was.
Okay, so it is from a musical that ran 30 performances in the year 2011. And on Broadway, it starred Patty Murin and Josh Segarra. It is the musical Liz Estrada Jones.
I knew the song that you were humming because I watched the video yesterday.
So yeah, this song is called You Go Your Way. It slaps.
You know who else is in that musical? Teddy Toy.
Teddy Toy. So many people were in that musical. Alex Wise was in that ensemble. Jason Tam was in that ensemble. Andrew Reynolds did it off Broadway, but he didn't transfer with it. I don't know.
For anyone that's not familiar with this show, like I'm not either, but there's a basketball number, and just think like Get Your Head in the Game.
Right. So basically, like quick plot summary, it's based on the like Greek play Lysistrata, where the women in the town withhold sex from their husbands to like get them to do things. So in Lysistrata Jones, the cheerleading team withholds sex from their basketball player boyfriends to get them to win the championship. I can't believe it wasn't a hit. I can't believe it didn't land like this. This song slaps. Sorry.
Patty also looks banging. She looks amazing. So good.
Amazing. Yeah. That little cheerleading outfit, the dancing, fantastic.
I know.
Yes, Lysistrata Jones, You Go Your Way.
Love
slaps.
it. Okay, I have chosen a song on my honorable mentions that I was actually shocked to see that it only had 45 performances. This is none other than the Rocky Horror Show, not the Rocky Horror Picture Show, which like is shocking to me because obviously it's based on the movie, and the movie is like the biggest cult hit of maybe all time. And the original show that ran on Broadway was only 45 performances. They had since revived it, and I think it did better like later in life. I mean,
once it became a cult.
Yeah, I think it is one of these shows that it is done so well regionally. Like anybody can put on Rocky Horror and it will automatically sell you tickets just because of that name title. So I do think though, like 45 performances is nothing. Like it's so short for a property that like everyone today knows and loves. So obviously the song that I'm choosing from this is Time Warp because it is the most iconic song from that musical.
Of course. Okay, I'm just going through my list now. Okay, so here's another musical. It was a flop. I am very passionate. Well, it's a little bit more than 150 performances, but I think it's a pretty safe flop.
That's fine. Honorable mentions can be more than 150. We're going to go a little
more. Okay, This show, here's the thing. I don't really even have a song from it because the music is so horrible. But this But I'm also very passionate about this show. Yeah. And this musical is rocky. Deserved better, even though, as I've said, the music, garbage.
Okay, sorry, but like the set.
Sorry to Aarons and Flaherty, but I don't know what you were doing. I don't know what you were doing with this. Just thinking about the way that they renovated the Winter Garden to bring a boxing ring out into the audience.
Alex Timbers did that.
Alex Timbers did that. Alex Timbers has a vision. Okay, let me talk about one more Alex Timbers show. Another musical that flopped. This was 120 performances, bringing up my man, Benjamin Walker, Bloody Andrew Jackson. Okay.
Yes.
Tragedy. 120 performances in the year 2010, directed by Alex Timbers. Again, a weird, wild show. Really, really cool stuff that they were doing with it. It was like a pre-Hamilton rock musical about a president of the United States. The song that I picked is Rockstar. They did a great performance of it on, I think it was like Late Night with Jimmy Fallon at the time. Mm-hmm. It's really, like, these shows were trying things. You know what I mean? A lot of these shows are just trying things, and they're not working, and that's cool, but they were trying to do something. Yeah. I appreciate.
I will say, if you are interested, follow Alex Timbers on Instagram. He's been posting like behind the scenes of all of his different set pieces from different shows. It's cool stuff. Like, he is such a genius.
Seeing that boxing ring come out, so cool.
There's that like specific scene when it descends. Like, there's nothing else out there, and there never will be, even though it was garbage. But like
that like, if you try to listen to that cast recording, I am so sorry to Aarons and Flaherty. It's so bad.
I love that. Okay, another song on my list, another song that I am truly obsessed with, and it is Goodbye from Catch Me If You Can, 170 performances.
Yes.
I do think that like this was probably Aaron Tveit in his prime during this role, probably had the most fun doing this role. And another one, as we know, Mr. Andrew Barth Feldman like sang this for his Jimmy Awards performance, so like it is done for high schools, which is like so interesting to me that this show is done for high schools. The entire cast recording is like fine, but nothing matches Goodbye. It is such a fantastic song, the way that it builds the last note. If you were at a 54 Below performance, a man is singing Goodbye, and you are going to love it. Like, it is just one of those songs that I always think of Broadway's leading men, and they're always singing Goodbye. It's so good. I love it so much.
You've heard like the Derek Klena story of he heard Goodbye, story. And then the person he was working with figured out an arrangement for it, and he sang it. And then was it like Mark Shaman Facebook messaged him being like, if you sing it again, I want to hear it. So he did sing it again and like sent him the video, and then he like went in and read for Aaron's cover and blah blah blah.
I think he didn't get it, obviously.
No,
and then
he was very young. He was very young.
Yeah, he did make it like pretty far, but yes, to be like scouted through a Facebook message is really Ooh, Derek was doing like, I think it was an LA talent competition, and the end goal was that you got to record your own song, and that was the song. And Goodbye, that I think it was Mark Shaman heard, and they were like, who is this kid? And then obviously he did like Dogfight next.
Yeah, pretty
like
soon
Carrie.
after.
Speaking of Carrie,
wow,
another show. This is like really flop, probably bomb flop.
Not since Carrie.
5 performances. We've talked about Carrie before. The version that we talked about was off Broadway, so it doesn't count for like the flops list.
Yes, the recent revival.
But the original Carrie, only 5 performances. I think you said And Eve Was Weak was like one of your favorite songs. We love like The World According to Chris, like Do Me a Favor. They're all like such great songs. I will say, after we recorded that Carrie episode, I did, and I think I sent it to you, watch the finale, and that like white ascending staircase, I like would love to see that in person. It looks so freaking cool.
Carrie was one of those shows that it's like the Whisper Network started when it was running about how bad it was and how it wasn't going to last. So I feel like a lot of people just like flocked to try and see it in that like first week, because it's like, it's not going to last. I just have to like be in the room. I have to see it. I have to like make sure that this piece of history does not die. But it is just the flop of all flops.
I could not believe that set, though. I was, like, beside myself watching this at, like, 1:30 in the morning, being like, is this real? Is she, like, levitating? Like, I don't even understand what's happening, but I want to see this in person. They should, like, not that Carrie would ever be revived, but, like, it should be, like, a Halloween limited time only special. That would be fun.
Who do we need to talk to get Carrie done here in Toronto? Also with blood.
Yes.
With blood.
Yes, the blood is, like...
If you're not dumping blood on someone every night?
Yeah, it's disappointing. There's actually a version of Carrie that I'm pretty sure was done like regionally in LA that starred Ashlyn from High School Musical, the series.
Amazing.
And she was Carrie, and the blood was dumped. I was like, this is it. You guys have done it.
You need to do it. You need to dump the blood if you're going to do a production of Carrie. I don't want to see some lighting trick. No,
we don't want the lighting. But she also like did a photo shoot, and they even dumped the blood for the promo photo shoot. That was that's commitment.
Yes, I want to see it. I want to see the blood everywhere. Okay, that is what Carrie is about.
I know. Great.
Okay.
There's a lot of blood on this list. I've just realized.
Maybe people don't like it. I like it.
I'm into it.
Okay, another one. So this is a musical written by David Yazbek.
Yeah.
This musical is called Woman on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown. It was in 2010. It lasted 69 performances. And the song I'm going to talk about here is called Model Behavior. It was the standout song for the musical. It's what everyone was talking about. It was performed by the one and only Laura Benanti. She was doing this like funny accent, just like talking on the phone, leaving crazy voicemails for someone. She is... Every time, she just is like a comedy queen, okay? Laura Benanti is so funny. Is. She just knows how to throw herself into performances and just get the laughs.
Speaking of throwing herself into performances, yes, we've seen literally nothing of this, and this is not about the laughs, but the throwing yourself into a part. Her like 1 second cameo in the new Gossip Girl trailer, gave me life.
I know, when like watching this trailer, I was like, Laura, you're there?
With like mascara running down her face.
Just like in the bed. Yeah, I was very excited to see her. Can't wait for that. Josh Safran, you're serving us.
Yes.
Where is Adam Chandler Bratt though?
We've been waiting. Like, where are you? We saw that like one picture like literally 6 months ago and never to be seen again. Did he get cut? I'll be really upset.
I'm so confused. He was announced so early in the casting process, and yet I have not seen him in this trailer. Like, who is he playing? A character? Like a teacher? Is he playing a parent? Is he playing like a sibling? I don't know. But yeah, Laura Benanti, Model Behavior, Woman on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown, 69 performances. It was a show that, from what I remember listening to an interview with Laura Benanti that said she wished critics would come like later in a run because they needed time to settle into what they were doing, to figure it out, and the preview process just wasn't long enough for that. And like that's tough because people are paying money to come expecting a fully developed show, and they're not getting it. But maybe this means, we need more out of towns, we need longer rehearsal processes, but that also costs money, so it's tough. But she again, someone who understands the assignment every time. Also on Younger, understands the assignment. Yes, legendary on Younger, Quinn.
Another show that's on my list, which like this one was sad to me when it closed, and that's Be More Chill. It had 177 performances on Broadway. It had such an amazing life off Broadway. It was like the smash of the MCC season. I got to see it in a theater with like 200 people, which I do think is the correct place to do that, and probably when it transferred to Broadway, it was like overwhelming and the show just didn't hit the same way.
They also did a lot in the rear orchestrations and in the costuming that made it a little like too polished, I feel.
Yes, I do agree. And it's like disappointing because I think that cast is very talented, and also like Will Rowland, who again will never play a teenager ever again for the rest of his life and should never, and he said that on many interviews. But to watch him and listen to him as Jared in Dear Evan Hansen as like a side character, and then to see him have this like lead starring moment in Be More Chill, like his voice is very good. He's a very good singer, and I really loved and love the song Loser Geek or whatever. I loved it when I saw it off Broadway. And yeah, I do agree with you. The orchestrations became very synthesized for the on Broadway. I do think that potentially the best version of that show is the one that existed, I think it was in New Jersey, like before it even went off Broadway.
Yes, the Two River.
Two River, yeah. That's probably the best version of that show, but I will never forget that experience sitting in a theater with 200 people that were like so into a show and like felt the same emotions that those characters felt. It was such an interesting experience that I'll never forget, and I loved every second of it. And it was sad to me when I heard that Be More Chill was closing, mostly because I felt for that cast. They had been in that show, many of them, since like the very, very beginning. Also, I love Joe Iconis. I think his music is very good. So... And most of these people were having their Broadway debut too, and then to like get that ripped so fast, it's just sad stuff.
Okay, my last one. The musical, we've talked about it a bit recently, but the musical Smile, written by Howard Ashman and Alan Menken, 48 performances in the year 1986. The song that I have had on my iPod randomly for like years and years and years. This is the one of the ones that doesn't have an official cast recording. It's a demo recording, but it's the finale. It's There Goes the Girl / finale. I love it. I don't know why. It's the one I listen to. I don't listen to Disneyland. I don't.
Disneyland. That's a great song, though.
I have this finale on the phone that I listen to a lot. Yeah. And it's like, it has this like kind of magical, like beauty pageant, like a fantasy feeling. It's really fun.
Yeah. So we have saved the biggest and best flop for last. The only reason that this is a flop is because there were so many injuries and it lost millions and millions of dollars, even though it ran for 3 years and had like upwards of like 1,000 performances.
Also, you could say because it was bad, but go on.
I mean, some people would say it was bad. I saw this musical twice and I loved it. And it is obviously Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark. It is one of the most, I think it goes down as like the most iconic show to maybe ever exist, to be honest, just from the whole like
it's infamous.
the whole process of everything that happened. And as I've said on many episodes, and we are going to talk more about Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark on our next episode, so look out for that. But this is a show that I think the music is great. The song that I will choose from this is No More, which is the Peter Parker and Mary Jane duet. It is stunning. I love it so much because in the musical, they're neighbors, obviously, in Spider-Man, and they're walking to each other's houses, and there's like treadmills in the floor, so they're like walking but not moving. And I also really love like the set pieces in that scene because it's all, yes, there's like these cutout houses, but they're all in that like comic book style, which is great. Is this show good? No, it's not a good show. I actually do like the cast recording. I listen to it a lot, but the entertainment value is like nothing I will ever see ever again. Like to watch two people fly and fight in a theater, and I've seen King Kong too. So like I have seen another huge flop with a giant creature, but like to watch the Green Goblin on his like what is that, a glider, take out Spider-Man.
The way the like tracks worked for the
I have no words.
Aerials.
It's a crazy show.
What they need is that new animatronic in Disneyland Adventure Campus. Just instead of like the humans.
That though, they're I think it's the like main trailer for Spider-Man. It's New York Debut is the song. It's like when he first becomes Spider-Man and he's like on the set and he does a flip over and lands right at the edge of the stage. People gasp. Like it's very exciting. And I think if you're like a young kid who is a superhero fan, which is something that we talked about with Jake Epstein when he was on with us, like it's an iconic character. It's an iconic movie, comic, everything. So was it the right move to make it a musical? Definitely not. But like I'm here for it and will back it all the way.
It tried something. It really tried something.
As we were saying, like they really tried something with this show. Like, yeah, they tried too hard because many people got injured. But they tried something.
Yeah, it was quite unsafe. We'll discuss this more next week. We'll discuss a lot of Julie Taymor's endeavors next week, I think.
Yes.
Next episode.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think that wraps up our flops. I know that there are like many that we have missed. I'm pretty sure I found a list of like 100 flops. I said to Steph off the mic, there are many vampire musicals and we didn't talk about any of them. Also
Random.
blood.
A lot of blood.
More blood.
I mean, we didn't talk about any of like Stephen Sondheim's flops, like the most famous one, Merrily. What about Taboo, the Boy George musical produced by Rosie O'Donnell? Like full on flop. So many things. Amelie, also, Big Fish, 9 to 5. Just so many.
Chess.
Escape to Margaritaville.
Escape to Margaritaville is really the one. Groundhog
Leap
Day.
of Faith. Glory Days.
One that almost made my list, but we have talked about it quite a bit. Like 13 only ran for like 105 performances. I love that cast recording. Yeah. It's like
I can't wait to come to you. I can't wait to come to you.
It's an interesting, I don't know, like flops are so interesting to dive into, and yeah, if we have missed one of your favorite flops, please let us know. And with that being said, it's now time for our obsession of the week.
So my obsession this week is a song that I've been listening to that I really like. So Kathryn Gallagher released some music and she has a song. It's called Nostalgic for the Moment. I found it on her TikTok. We follow her on TikTok. And it's just like a really fun song. It's about like making memories that you'll want to remember later, like being nostalgic for something that's literally currently happening to you. And it's just like a really fun song. It has like her unique voice on it. I believe she wrote it. It's just like really, really fun and a sweet song, and I love it. So Nostalgic for the Moment by Kathryn Gallagher.
I think she's been like, I don't know if she's writing a full album, but I know she's been writing a lot in the pandemic. But yeah, she's very fun to follow on TikTok, so
for sure, follow
her. Okay, my obsession this week is something that I watched this week, and I can't stop thinking about it. So recently in the UK, and I'm so sorry this video no longer exists online when the episode goes out, but I will give an alternative for the song that I am choosing. It is the Show That Goes On, which was a fundraising event in the UK to like bring back theater. They had different performers from shows that are playing in the UK. I believe they raised over £1 million for this event, which is amazing. And, you know, I'm just like casually watching this. I was doing something else, and then this song comes on, and I was like, I have never heard someone sing this song this way. And I don't even know what I'm listening to right now. And it is Me in the Sky from Come From Away, sung by Alice Fern. Oh my God. The riffs that this woman does. And sorry, we're like comparing this to Jen Colella, which I think that version is like everything. I think Me in the Sky is like, other than Welcome to the Rock.
Chaplin. Sorry.
I know. I thought about Chaplin. You want to listen to a great flop? Chaplin. It all falls down.
All falls down.
That's
okay,
it.
Go on.
Jen Colella's version is at the top.
Yeah.
Dare I say Alice Fern's version is on top of that.
Wow.
I cannot believe what I heard. She is, and I like don't really know Alice Fern very well. I'm not like very familiar with her, except for she is one of the Alphabas that was on like Tim Murray's Guess the Alphaba. And I remember specifically when they heard her, he was like, Alice Fern, like that is the voice. So obviously me being me, as soon as I heard this, listened to it again, and then went through and listened to like every single version of every song that she's ever done. She has such an amazing voice, and like it's a force to be reckoned with. I've never heard this song sung this way before, and like she was so into it, and I think a lot had to do with the fact that theater is coming back in the UK. It's probably, as we know, Come From Away, a show we want to see as soon as theater
I want to be there opening night in Toronto, like first night open. I want to be there.
So to get to sing like this almost cathartic song in front of a live audience, she went for it and like did not disappoint. So Me in the Sky from The Show That Goes On, sung by Alice Fern, and an alternative version that I will put in the description for our YouTube listeners, I think is also on The Show That Goes On channel. Don't quote me on that, but it's acoustic. It's very good. She just doesn't do the same sort of riffs, but like you get the gist of her voice.
Sure.
It's incredible, and Steph and I will watch it immediately after this episode ends. I
haven't seen it. I didn't watch it.
I cannot stop thinking about it. Like it is it is everything. That wraps up our obsessions and our episodes. So yeah, as I said, if we have missed one of your favorite flops, please let us know. I'd be so interested to like listen to more. There's so many, just like looking at the list that I was like, wow, I should go through and like pick out some of these songs and watch whatever videos exist online, because it's just like cool stuff. You can follow us at Off to BOA Podcast. That's with the number 2 on Instagram and Twitter.
And you can subscribe to us on YouTube, or you can listen to us anywhere podcasts are found. And we'd love it if you would leave a rating and review. That really helps us out.
And we will see you guys next time.
Bye.